Online Learning Week 7. This week we are learning factoring trinomials, starting Ms. V and Ms. G. All right, let's get started. The materials you're going to need are April 20th through the 24th, factoring trinomials in your packets that you should have received through the mail. If you have not received one, please let us know so that we can get one to you as quickly as possible. Or if those that have Google Classroom set up, the assignment would be labeled factoring trinomials. Reminder, you do not need to do both. Choose the one that best fits you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with what is factoring. Factoring is the reverse of multiplying. So I'm basically just going backwards to where did my equation come from, or where did my expression come from. Factoring takes this expression and takes it backwards to become these two sets of parentheses. These two sets of parentheses, when multiplied, give you this longer expression. Remember, ax squared plus bx plus c. Remembering A, B, and C are going to be very important for this topic. Let's go ahead and start by reviewing multiplying two binomials. Just a quick reminder, quick refresher, how to multiply two binomials. Remember, binomials means two, so there's two things in the expression. There's two binomials, so we're going to go ahead and multiply. How do I do that? It's called the FOIL method. The first, the outsides, the insides, and the last. So the first, what are the first of these two expressions? X and 2x. So let's go ahead and multiply. X times 2x gives me 2x squared. All right, let's move on. Outsides. So we're going to move on to the outsides of the expressions, which is this one and this one. 3 times -4. Notice how I said -4 because there is a minus in front. So it's understood to be a negative once you separate them. So 3 times -4 is going to give me -12. All right, almost there. 2 more. Insides. The insides of the whole expression, which is 3 times 2x, will give me 6x. And then now the last. So the outside, the last ones, x times -4 is going to give me -4x. Perfect. All right, so now we multiply my two binomials. What am I going to do next? You put it all together. So if you notice, we have this 4 terms that we're going to put together. Reminder, you do need to combine like terms. Combining like terms is crucial because you don't want a longer expression when you could have simplified it. So I'm going to start off with the first one, which is 2x squared. And then I'm going to bring down the x's because that's the order. So 6x minus 4x is going to give me 2x. And the last one remaining is going to be -12. But remember, when I put it together with somebody else, it becomes -12. So this is how you multiply. However, we are going backwards to find the factors. So from this long expression, we're going to be able to find the two sets of parentheses we started off with here. So let's go. All right, example 1. Let's factor the quadratic expression x squared minus 9x plus 20. Step 1. Write two sets of parentheses with repeated variables. So my repeated variable here is x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do two sets of parentheses and I'm going to put an x at the beginning. Why? Because when I multiply x times x, I will get back x squared. Step 2, identify a, b, and c from the expression. Remember, a is in front of x squared, b is in front of the variable x, and c is the last one without any variable. All right, so my number is 1, -9, and 20. All right, moving on. Step 3, multiply a and c. So a times c, which we have 1 times 20, is going to give me +20. Now, if you notice, I put a positive sign in front of this because you're going to see how we're going to need it later. So just make sure we write the sign. All right, step 4, find the factors of number a times c, which in our case was positive 20. Remember, factors are two numbers when multiplied give you the number you're looking for. So for instance, minus 20. So what I'm going to do is find factors of 20, which I already know. 1 times 20, simple. Next one is 2 times 10. And the last one is 4 times 5. How do I know it doesn't continue or repeats itself? All you have to know is that if these two numbers are close to each other, that's when the loop stops. So if you notice, 4 and 5 are close to each other. So that's where I stopped. It's not 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is already repeated. So as soon as these two numbers are close to each other, there's no more way to go through factors. Okay? All right. Step 5, select the two factors when added give you b from the expression. How do I know if it's added? Well, remember that sign I told you to put in front of your a times c? This tells you what you're going to do with those factors. So when I do the sign in front of that, it's going to give me the number in the middle, which is also letter B. So let's go ahead and add these factors. 1 plus 20 gives me 21. 2 plus 10 gives me 12. 4 plus 5 gives me 9. Therefore, the ones that I'm going to select is 4 and 5 because it does give me the middle term of my expression, which is 9. All right, and step 6, last step. Fill in the signs and the numbers. The numbers are the ones we chose, 4 and 5. The signs come from looking at the expression. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this last sign. Notice how it says a plus. A plus, the way I can get a positive number when multiplying is either a negative times a negative or a positive times a positive. All right, how do I know which is I'm going to choose? All you have to do is look at the sign in the middle, or the one right next to B, and that will tell you, hey, this is a sign you're using twice. Twice because the last sign is a plus. So I'm going to put x minus. And what are the numbers I'm going to use? The ones that I chose, 4 and 5. Bam. Done. Now, how do I know where those numbers go? If you notice, both are minuses, so it wouldn't matter what you put first. 5 could be here, 4 could be here. As long as these signs are the same, the numbers don't matter where you place them. It is when the signs are different, which we'll do an example right now. So common questions that we kind of sometimes are always wondering, because this topic might be a little bit more challenging than others. So here are the common questions that we do get. How do I know which letter to write down? All you have to do is check the expression. If your variable is an A, you're going to use an A. If your variable's a W, you're going to use a W. If it's an X, you're going to use an X. So we check the expression. The variable given is the one we will use. Why do I put a sign in front of the number we get from multiplying A and C? Well, this is done so that we know what to do with the factors. So when the previous example, we had a plus 20. That plus told me what to do with the factors of 20 to be able to get the middle number. If it was a minus, I would subtract my factors to get the middle number. How do I know which factors to use? The factors that are added or subtracted that give you variable B, which is the middle number, will be the ones you choose. The signs come from the ones inside the parentheses by looking at the expression you're factoring. The last sign determines which one you will use for the parentheses. Do not assume they're the exact same as the equation. So if my beginning expression has a minus and a plus, don't assume you're going to have a minus and a plus in the parentheses. This is not the case. You have to just look at the last sign. The last sign of your expression will determine what signs you're using inside your parentheses. Does it matter where the factors go in the parentheses, the numbers we chose? Depends on the signs inside. If they're both the same, no. If you have a plus, a minus, and a minus, it doesn't matter where you put the numbers. However, if they're different, the bigger sign, or the bigger factor must be with the sign like the middle one on your expression. And I'm going to do examples so you all can see. So these are the common questions that we do get. Hopefully this kind of cleared up some thoughts, some doubts you had about what were the steps. So let's go ahead and continue. I'm going to do 3 more examples so that we can kind of get the hang of it. All right. Example 2. Let's factor the quadratic expression r squared minus 2r minus 24. Okay. Step 1 is to write the 2 parentheses with the repeated variable. Bam. Done. Parentheses r, parentheses r. Okay. Give yourself a little bit of room because you are going to go back in there and fill in the answer. Step 2, identify A, B, and C. Remember, A is in front of r squared, B is in front of r, and C is by itself. So here, there's no number in front of r squared, so it's understood to be a 1. This one is a minus, so I'm going to read it as -2. And this one's a minus as well, so I'm going to read it -24. So A is 1, B is -2, and C is -24. Step 3, multiply A times C. So A, which is 1, times C, which is -24, gives me back -24. Step 4, factor the A times C, which is our case. Ignore the negative because right now you'll understand where we get the negative from. So just let's factor 24. 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6. Notice how these two are close to each other and there's nothing else at the bottom. Okay. Step 5. This is where we look at the middle number of our expression. Okay. And we make sure we do this sign with the factors. If this sign is a plus, I were to add them. But this sign is a minus, so what I'm going to do is subtract them. So 24 minus 1, or 1 minus 24, still gives me 23. Okay, remember, right now negatives don't count, so do ignore the negatives. We're just subtracting factors. 2 and 12, when I subtract them, give me 10. 8 and 3, subtract them, give me 5. 6 and 4, subtract them, give me 2. Okay. So who's the one that gives in the middle term? 4 and 6. So those are the factors that I'm going to choose. All right. Step 6. Last one. Choose your signs. Fill in the numbers. Okay. Again, how do I know which sign to use? All you have to do is look at the last sign. Notice how this one's a minus. So when I think about how do I get a negative sign when multiplying, the only option you have is a negative and a positive together. So notice how I put a minus and a plus. I don't need to look at this middle sign because this last sign always tells me it's going to be a minus and a plus because this is a minus. Don't worry, we've created a spreadsheet, a cheat sheet for you all in the back so that you know what signs to use. Okay, now we fill in the numbers. Now notice how in these signs, they're different. So I can't just put 4 and 6 wherever I want. I have to choose the bigger out of the 2 factors has to match the one in the middle. So if you notice this middle one here, or in front of B, is a minus. So the bigger one, which is 6, will also go with the minus. And there you go. Okay, let's move on. Now let's go ahead and factor a quadratic expression that has a number in front of x squared. Because if you notice, the other 2 examples didn't have a number in front of x squared. This one, these last 2 examples will have a number in front of x squared. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in. Step 1, same thing. We repeat 2 sets of parentheses with repeated variable. However, because this one has a number in front, I'm also going to include it in my parentheses. So I would put 2x and 2x. Step 2, identify A, B, and C from the expression. Same way. A is in front of x squared, B is in front of x, and C is the last one without any variable. So A is 2, B is 2, and C is -12. Okay, let's go ahead and multiply A and C. 2 times negative 12 gives me negative 24. Okay, so remember that number. We're moving on. All right, step 4. Find the factors of the number that we got, which was 24. Like I said, ignore the negative sign for a little bit. Let's go ahead and just factor 24. I know it's 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, and 4 and 6. Okay? Step 5. Select the two factors when subtracted give you b from the expression. Okay, wait a minute. Why is it subtracted now? If you notice, this sign that I got was a negative, a minus. So that's why I'm subtracting now instead of adding. Okay, so let's go ahead and subtract the factors. 24 and 1, give me 23. 2 and 12, give me 10. 3 and 8, give me 5. And 4 and 6, give me 2. If you match it, 4 and 6 are the only two factors when subtracted give you the middle term. So I'm going to use 4 and 6. Step 6. Fill in the signs and the numbers. Okay, so remember the signs come from looking at the last one of your expression at the beginning. So mine's a minus. Automatically, I know I'm going to use a plus or a minus. I'm going to use a plus and a minus in my parentheses. Does it matter where I place them? Not right now. What matters is where do you put your factors. Okay, so I could have put a minus, I could have put a plus here, vice versa. Doesn't matter as long as you understand that if this is a minus, these are going to be different signs. Okay, now let's go ahead and put the factors. If you notice, these are different signs, so the bigger number out of the two factors, which is 4, must match the sign with the expression, with b, which is plus. So my 6 is going to go with the plus. Now, for these, because there is a number in front of x squared, there's going to be an additional step. Don't worry, it's not extremely difficult. It's just reducing one of the parentheses, okay? So if I look at my two sets of parentheses, which is 2x plus 6 and 2x minus 4, I ask myself, can these be reduced? Do they have a common factor? 2 and 6 both have a common factor of 2. So I'm going to reduce it by 2. 2 and 4 also have a common factor of 2, which means I could divide by 2. Giving me x plus 3 and x minus 2 as my final answer. So here we factor. Okay, let's go ahead and do another example. Let's try to do it a little bit quicker this time. So it says 3w squared plus 7w plus 4. Step 1, write the two sets of parentheses. If you notice, there's a number in front of w squared, so I'm going to put that number as well. 3w and 3w. Step 2, identify a, b, and c from the expression. A is in front of w squared, b is in front of w, and c has no variable. So it's going to be 3, 7, and 4. They're all positives because I didn't have a minus sign in my expression. Step 3, multiply a and c. So 3 times 4, positive 12. Remember I said make sure you put the sign in front because it's going to help us with the factors. Step 4, factor out 12. So I know it's 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. That's it. You can continue. Step 5 will be find the factors that when added give you the middle one. So here I have 7, 1 plus 12 is 13, 2 plus 6 is 8, 3 plus 4 is 7. So the ones I'm going to choose is 3 and 4. So those are the factors that I'm going to use. Step 6, determine the signs you're going to use. Now, if you notice in my expression, the last sign is a positive. Therefore, I must choose either minus, minus, or positive, positive, plus, plus. How do I know which one I'm going to get? You just look at the middle one. So it's going to be a plus, plus. So 3w plus 3w plus and 3w plus. Fill in the numbers now. So 3 and 4. Doesn't matter where I put it? No, because both of the signs are the same. So 3W plus 3 and 3W plus 4. Now, if you notice, there's still numbers in front of this W. So let's see if I can reduce them. In these types of expressions, in these types of problems, there is always going to be at least one parenthesis that could be reduced. So let's go ahead and figure out which one it is. So step 7, 3W and 3 have a 3 in common, so let's go ahead and divide both by 3. 3 and 4 don't have anything in common besides a 1, but if I divide by a 1, it still stays the same. So my equation gets reduced to W plus 1 and 3W plus 4. And that's my answer. Okay? Now, here we've created a cheat sheet for you all so that you know what signs to use. If your signs are plus plus, you're going to use a plus plus inside your factors. If it's a minus plus, I'm going to use a minus minus. These factors doesn't matter where you put them because the signs are the same. If you have a plus minus, the minus is for the small number, the plus is for the larger number of your factors. If you have a minus minus, the plus is for the smaller number, the minus is for the larger number. Take a picture of this so that you can have it for your assignment. Put it on pause while you're on this page so that it can help you, because we want you all to succeed as much as you all can. We're trying to give you everything we can. I know it's a little still difficult not being face-to-face, but guys, we're trying and we only have 3 weeks left. We got this. Contact information for Ms. Gonzalez is her email, clark.gonzalez@ecisd.us. You can also contact her through Google Classroom, Remind, or text and call at the number that she's giving you. If you have any questions, contact Ms. Gonzalez if she is your teacher. For my information, my email is my full name with a dot in the middle. You can contact me in Google Classroom, Remind, or text and call at the number that I have given you all. Please don't hesitate to call and ask if you have any questions or contact us. We're here to help you all. We have 3 more weeks left of the school year and we can do it. Stay healthy, helpful, and calm. Be careful. We'll see you all next time. Have a great week.